You're listening to America's Health Talk.
One of the important elements that differentiates immunoconcentrate is the quantity and quality of scientific data that both Dr. Bounous and his esteemed associates have generated over the years. It is important to pers.
I think this sort of nutraceutical medicine must be integrated into conventional medicine. I see with great suspicion and disappointment the increasing growth of specialized journal on nutraceutical naturopathic medicine, and I think this is wrong. We must not segregate this type of medicine into specialized area. This is part of real medicine, and this is why, to answer your question, we have selected the more difficult way to compete with medical articles for publication in medical journal and submit our data to peer review by our medical scientists. It is only this way that this type of therapy will be accepted and integrated into standard medicine. We cannot start a revolution with having a separate group of people saying something and having doctor on the other hand saying other thing. We must talk the same language using the same scientific method. So that we have, I'll give an example, one of the three articles you mentioned is a clear demonstration. The one by Dr. Lenz is the case of a lady who had bronchopulmonary obstruction. She has been radiated. She was a heavy smoker. As a consequence, her respiratory function was down to 1 liter from a 3.3. She couldn't breathe. Her bronchial system was plugged with mucus, and she was facing a terrible agonizing death. But she did very well on Immunocal, and when I saw her, she was very happy. She was able to breathe, resume her work. She was willing to produce to me data and the table. But I said, well, that's very nice, but I would like you to see another specialist. And she went to see Dr. Lenz, submitted her to a host of tests, and she agreed to do the very uncomfortable thing, to stop taking Immunocal for 3 months, and her situation deteriorated to the point of before. She was then done all the tests, and then back on Immunocal, her situation was completely improved, and she's now in perfectly health. Now, up until the middle of the situation, she could have been an anecdote, and you hear this type of claim every hour of the day, every minute of the hour on the radio, TV. I don't have to explain you what this is. But the difference between an anecdote and the scientific case report is a case report has a crossover type of control. In other words, you want to make sure that the effect is due to the Immunocal, not to the fluke of the event, evolution of the diseases. So you have to stop taking, put it back, stop taking again until you have absolutely certain. This case has been verified by 2 independent pneumologists and is now been accepted on the prestigious American journal called CHEST, specialized in pulmonary disease. So this is the difference between claim of non-substantiated claim of testimonial and a scientific report. And I think on the long run, this method will pay off. It takes more time because we could have had our testimonial a year and a half ago. It is only now where we have the case report.
What's the significance of having 2 specialists versus just a general practitioner?
Well, 2 specialists, I'm not saying the holy truth, but it's an uncontroversial statement of scientific facts, because 2 senior pneumologists of 2 independent separate hospitals will not tell a story unless they have convincing evidence. They put their reputation at stake. A GP can make a claim, but of course he doesn't have all the examination and all the tests which are necessary and the competence to get that specialist. A similar example in Mr. Molson is an athlete himself. He has a bunch of athletes running better with our product. And he was reluctant to show this thing to the public because here we have one bicycle runner running fast, and then the alleged competition of some other antioxidant producer will have another athlete running even faster, so it's an endless story. So what we did, again, we had double-blind placebo study done in a university setting where normal health individuals were taking either Immunocal or a placebo. In the case was casein. No one knew what he was taking. But at the end of 3 months, patient with the subject we were taking Immunocal showed a 13% increase in volitional muscle performance and a 37% in glutathione increase compared to the control. We had no change without exercise, just by drinking this thing. The thing was considered extraordinary by the American Physiological Association. It was selected among 5,000 presentations for news media release, appeared on the Journal of Applied Physiology of October. And the novelty of this thing that was recognized by the peer scientists is that never before it was shown that an antioxidant could increase the volition. Volitional, in other words, is the contraction of the muscle by your own decision. You start running, you go on the bicycle. It had already been shown that the response of a muscle to electrical stimuli was increased by vitamin C or vitamin E, but never before we found increase in this type of strength, which may incidentally explain this improved sense of well-being that many of our patients, including cancer patients and chronic fatigue patients, seems to experience with this product. So this third article we have presented on the role of glutathione precursor in the pathogenesis of chronic fatigue, which is a predecessor of the study by Dr. Cheney and Dr. Mesley on the effect of glutathione precursor against the immunocal in this chronic fatigue.
And where was that published, Gustav?
It was published on Medical Hypothesis, which is a respected journal who published credible theory in the field of medicine. And in fact, we are comfortable to assume that the work, we know already the work of Lanzin in young healthy men showed the crucial role of glutathione in muscular performance, and the fact that the patient who had chronic fatigue, have had serious infection, and had their immune system depleted of glutathione because of the continuous challenge. They had viral, bacterial infection, fungal infection. So after that, they have fatigue. This is why so many people who experience infection do experience also muscular fatigue. So there is a competition between immune system, which require glutathione precursor to express its function, and the skeletal muscle, who also require glutathione as an antioxidant to perform the contraction, so that you can either wear one or the other. If you overstrain your muscle, like in overtrained athletes, they do come out with infectious disease, typically upper respiratory infection disease. Or people who had for a year repeated viral bacterial infection, typically they develop fatigue, chronic fatigue, which doesn't seem to respond to any form of treatment. And Dr. Cheney study, 7 of these cases found they respond well to immunocal, again indicating the crucial role of glutathione and this precursor in the pathogenesis of this syndrome. Most medical scientists are very honest people which deeply care about the health of their patient. If they see something unusual, it seems to have an effect, they want to know more about it. This has been my experience. Upper respiratory infection disease, or people who had for a year repeated viral bacterial infection, typically they develop fatigue, chronic fatigue, which doesn't seem to respond to any form of treatment. And Dr. Cheney study, 7 of these cases found they respond well to immunocal, again indicating the crucial role of glutathione and this precursor in the pathogenesis of this syndrome. Most medical scientists are very honest people which deeply care about the health of their patient. If they see something unusual, it seems to have an effect, they want to know more about it. This has been my experience. They want to know more about it. This has been my experience.
You're listening to America's Health Talk.